welcome to Unit 1, Activity 5, Self-Management Resources for Mr. Arnold's GLS4O class. Today, you are going to be watching a video, this video, about how to use effective self-management resources, including some that we've already used in this class, and how to support that with some apps for you as well, and apps that we've already learned. So the place you always want to start in using self-management resources is you want to start with something called self-instruction. This is a verbal cue that gets you started on doing work. Now, if you're a person like me, you have a lot of stuff going in your mind at once and a lot of distractions around you. So I physically and verbally have to say to myself, start with one thing. That's my verbal cue. So what I've done for myself today is I have included a list of self-instruction, self-monitoring, self-evaluation, and self-reinforcement techniques on Google Keep, so I know that I can go through step by step. So you can see that the first piece on my lesson and the first task on my lesson was to plan a lesson, and I've done that already by writing it down on paper. So I started with this one thing. You can also see that I have utilized the check boxes on Google Keep to make check marks for myself so I can check them off as I go along. And if you don't remember how to do that, you simply go to the three dots entitled More, and you pick Add Check Boxes. It says Hide here, but I've already added them in here, so they are allowing me to do that. So here's the self-management lesson. Plan the lesson, start with one thing. The next thing I want to do is I want to organize the tabs that I have open, because I know that I'm going to have to go through a certain number of steps, and I'll have to show you some tabs in this lesson. So, like having a messy desk, you don't want too many tabs or tabs open on your screen that you don't need. So I'm noticing that I have a tab called Use Dictation on your iPhone that I don't want. So I'm going to clean that up. And I know that for this lesson, I am going to need Keep, the Google Doc entitled GLS4O, and My Blueprint, specifically the My Blueprint goals list open for self-evaluation. So I'm going to put those three tabs in order. I know I always have Brightspace open. Next, I have Keep, so I can check that. I can check the first one, which is Plan Lesson, and my verbal cue of start with one thing. Next, I should have the GLS4O self-management document, which is here. And lastly, I know that I need the My Blueprint goals list open, which is here. See that I have my goals, and the first goal is make a list of work to complete, and that's what I've done using Google Keep. And there it is. Good. Next, what I need to do is I need to check Brightspace as well, because I know that Brightspace has check marks next to activities that I have completed already. And as you can see, I have read the Self-Management Resources document, and I have also taken a look at the Dropbox for this activity. And you can see in this activity, you are going to need to create a Google Note to demonstrate your understanding of this and take a screenshot of that Google Keep note when you are done. Good. So the next step in this lesson is something called self-evaluation. And self-evaluation is, again, looking back at something you can measure yourself against. So if I know that on my blueprint, one of my tasks for work completion was make a list of work to complete, I know that I can evaluate myself against that goals task. Some of you, that task list was get to class on time, or was attend class, or was as well finish a credit from another class. So you can take a look at this goals list as you go along, and that is called self-evaluation. And what I'm going to do now is check that off. And we also know that we've looked at the check marks on Brightspace. Now I know that I can't upload this video until I have actually finished it. So what I'm going to do is move this below the step called self-reinforcement. And self-reinforcement is the final section of self-management. We've gone through self-instruction, that was the start with one thing. We've gone through self-monitoring, and that was the tangible mark, or the checklist in Google Keep. We've looked at self-evaluation, which was comparing my performance against a criteria, and that was the My Blueprint task list. And finally, self-reinforcement. So in this case, I know that by completing this lesson and posting it on the classroom page, I am looking to give myself a positive consequence to this. And knowing that I have a few other tasks to complete tonight, my positive reinforcement task is quite simply to take a 10-minute water break before my next task. And I need to time that 10-minute water break as well. So I know that I have a timer on my phone, and I also have a fun timer called Rocket Timer. And this one, I don't even need to leave my computer screen to do that. So for the next time, or when I am done this lesson, I'm going to set Rocket Timer to let me know when I need to come back to the computer and get back to work simply by pressing Start. So when I am done the self-reinforcement, I am going to upload this video to Brightspace, and finally, you need to delete or clear any notes that you don't need anymore. And to delete the note that you don't need anymore, you're going to click on Delete Note. I've also set a reminder to myself that I needed to have this lesson done by 5 p.m. And looking at my screen, and my clock in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, I know that it is 4:59 p.m., so I'm just about on task. So thank you so much for listening to this lesson today, and as usual, if you have any questions for me, please let me know.